Let's get this over with.
Doctor, what are you doing? Take me back. You take me back right now.
Shut up and fucking listen, Rose. I'm dead, or about to die any second with no chance of escape.
I'm telling you, take me back, Doctor, please. Take me fucking back, Doctor.
And I bet you're moaning and complaining right now. Typical. Go on home and have your lovely beans on toast. Go home, go to work, eat chips, and go to bed.
What are you doing, Doctor? Please. Please don't, Doctor. No. Please don't.
I'm facing an enemy too deadly to defeat, so let the TARDIS die. Stick it in the middle of London somewhere. I don't give a fuck anymore. Just go home and have a good life. Have a fantastic life, bitch. And good riddance. See ya!
I am the bad wolf. I take lives.
Oh, you fucking bitch. Oh, God. Oh, for fuck's sake. Rose, before I go, I just want to let you know that you were not fantastic. Fucking pain in the arse, you stupid ape. But you know what? I was fantastic. Oh. 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 Hello. New teeth. That is weird. So where was I? Oh, that's right. Barcelona. The end of the 9th Doctor's era. It's been fun, my friend, but I think it's time to put you to bed. You will be missed. Oh, go on then, one more time. One more time wouldn't hurt. Fantastic. Hello Whovians and welcome to my review of the final story to star Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, which is also the last story of the first series of the new series of Doctor Who. Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways, written by Russell T Davies. So, we come to the end of the 9th Doctor's era, the short but sweet era. It's only one series and this is indeed the end of the series. So, let's get on with it. This might be a long review, so bear with. The basic plot of Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways is as follows. Separated and with no TARDIS, the Doctor, Rose and Jack have to fight for their lives on board the game station, but a far more dangerous threat is lurking, just out of sight. The Doctor realises that the entire human race has been blinded to the threat on its doorstep, and Armageddon is fast approaching. Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Fan-bloody-tastic. Absolutely fantastic. You know, even though Christopher Eccleston has a criminally short era as the Doctor, he could not have gone out on a better note. I think this is a superb Doctor Who story. This is definitely one of my favourite stories in the new series, and potentially my favourite story to star Eccleston as the 9th Doctor. It's a almost near perfect finale. It is a phenomenal piece of television, and both parts together make for a pretty epic end to this fantastic series, considering that this was the first series of the revival. They really did go all out with this one. First of all, the story itself, the concept of it is very clever in the fact that it is basically a reality game show of death. Basically, the Doctor ends up on Big Brother, Rose ends up on The Weakest Link, and Jack ends up on Trinny and Susanna. And the three of them have to basically fight for their lives and discover what the hell's going on. So the mystery is really good and is really engaging. And you're just sitting there completely hooked by the whole thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. In the classic series, there was a story reminiscent of this, which is Vengeance on Varos, the Colin Baker story. In fact, it's one of the only good Colin Baker stories, in my opinion. That dealt with a kind of similar thing. But I actually think the idea works very well here, and I like the fact that Russell T Davies used popular shows of the current time. And it just gives the whole thing a slight edge, you know. The episode actually opens with the Doctor landing in the Big Brother house, and He's like, you have got to be kidding. It does seem a bit unbelievable at first, and then as the mystery goes on, the story starts to become a bit darker and much more interesting, and why people are being disintegrated out of existence, or so they think at the time. And then, of course, we do discover that the Daleks are behind all of this. And obviously the Daleks fought the Doctor's people, the Time Lords, in the Time War. So this is a very personal confrontation for the Doctor. This is a very personal story, and he is tested to the limit. And the Doctor is left without many options, to be honest. He tries to defeat them with this Delta Wave that is going to take him a long time to build, and he's working against the clock to try and transmit that from Satellite 5. Oh yeah, another thing, this story takes place in Satellite 5, where the long game took place, and so it's a nice little connection there, and it's set 100 years after the events of the long game. And it's interesting how the ramifications of what the Doctor did in the long game have had an effect on humanity at this point, and the Doctor feels guilty for that, the fact that humanity's become clouded with like gas or something, and or poison. Like the atmosphere is almost toxic, so people are forced to stay at home and watch TV. Kind of like our day with the coronavirus at the moment. In actual fact, it creates a lot of drama because the people from Earth have been selected at random to compete in these life or death reality shows, and it's really quite scary actually as to how the Daleks have been doing this. It really is creepy. I think it's definitely one of the best scripts that Russell T Davies has written for the show as a whole. But I think it's a totally epic story for Christopher Eccleston to leave the show on. Also because we have the return of the Emperor Dalek. I mean, we haven't seen him for a long time, not since I think even the Patrick Troughton era, as far as I recall. The Emperor Dalek looks superb. It looks just so huge. It's basically, as you would expect, it looks like this massive giant thing, and the massive creature is there in this case that can see through itself. And then there's a whole Armageddon of Daleks who are there, and obviously the Daleks are the same Daleks that the Dalek from Dalek was in, if you take my drift. And this story definitely provides a lot of action thrills. I really do like that. But I really like the scene when the Doctor, Rose and Jack confront the Emperor Dalek, and the Doctor discovers that these Daleks have been built from the remains of humanity, which I think adds a really dramatic edge on. And it kind of makes you think, oh, so the Daleks are trying to fight themselves in a way, because they're totally against having emotion. And the Doctor realizes, wow, the Daleks actually hate themselves, and they're trying to get rid of that last bit of emotion that's still left, which I think is really, it proves to be a really dramatic revelation, actually. I really like the supporting characters. I like the character of Linda, played by Jo Joyner, who actually appeared on EastEnders as Tanya Cross. And I think Linda's just a sweet character. Like, they keep going on about how sweet she is, and she is indeed very sweet. And there's the potential that Linda might become a regular companion. She asks the Doctor if she can join him, and he says yes, but sadly Linda dies. Her death is very tragic when the Daleks burst through the glass and she gets sucked out into the cold vacuum of space. That's really tragic. I guess Russell T Davies did that to emphasise the tragedy that not everybody who wants to go with the Doctor gets the chance, because there's danger around every corner. There's a lot of stakes to this story. It really is war. Like, the Captain Jack leads the people on Satellite 5 into battle with guns, although obviously guns are kind of useless against the Daleks. But I like John Barrowman very much. I think this is his best performance of the series as Captain Jack. It's also interesting how Captain Jack kisses the Doctor and Rose. Slightly bizarre moment, but okay, fair enough. It's still kind of funny. Like, he goes up to Rose and he says, "You are worth fighting for." And he gives her a kiss, and he kisses the Doctor. He's like, "I wish I never met you, Doctor." But he's very much part of the TARDIS crew, and it is interesting how he's introduced into the story when he's trying on all the clothes, and then this thing called the defabricator is taking off his clothes, and he's like, "Ladies, your viewing figures just went up." So John Barrowman is very funny, very charming as Captain Jack in this one, and yeah, his scenes are quite funny at the beginning of the story. There's a lot of dramatic scenes as well, especially when Rose is on the weakest link, and I think the weakest link stuff is hilarious when Rose comes across the Anne droid. You know, the Anne droid is hilarious, and it's really quite tragic when Rose is actually disintegrated, and the Doctor thinks that Rose is dead, and we have that close-up of Christopher Eccleston. He's looking very sad, and he's looking down at the pile of ash that's there. Obviously, they discover that everybody is still alive, but it's a very heartbreaking moment. This story is definitely where the Doctor and Rose's relationship comes sort of full circle, I suppose. I think it's evident by this point that Rose is starting to really fall for the Doctor. Some people argue that, you know, she starts to fall in love with the Doctor when he becomes David Tennant, but, you know, I think the end of this series is where you start to see how much Rose really does start to love the Doctor, and I think Mickey gets the message now that Rose is moving on and she's trying to change her life, and she doesn't see Mickey in that way anymore, which is tragic. When Rose is sent home as well, that's quite a tragic message when the Doctor leaves the hologram, and I think it's very well acted by Eccleston when he says, have a good life, have a fantastic life, and he just wants the best for her, he just wants her to be safe, but Rose doesn't want to give up, and she wants to go back and help him, but yeah. I like the Jackie and Mickey in this one as well. They don't feature too much, but when they do feature, there's some really important scenes when Mickey, like I said, realises that he's basically a third wheel by this point. He doesn't fit into Rose's world anymore. He still loves her as a friend, but I think the romantic chemistry is not there anymore. She's definitely she loves the Doctor. It's kind of obvious by this point, and obviously that is a love that will blossom in the next series with David Tennant. I love the scene with Jackie in the TARDIS as well when Rose mentions that the Doctor took her back to the time when her dad was alive, and that's a really powerful scene. Jackie doesn't really want to believe that, but I think she does have a flashing memory of that, and she realizes, oh my god, the Doctor really is able to do this and go back in time and show Rose what she missed, and they have a really dramatic conversation, and I think it's a very well acted scene. Billie Piper is just great. I think the acting in this story is just superb. I think Billie Piper deserves a big shout out, you know, as Rose, and for all I may say how she's overrated as a companion, I've never thought Billie Piper was a bad actress. She's a great actress, and she proves that in this story. I like the fact that Rose ends up saving the day this time. The Doctor's kind of going to accept his fate. He's going to die, and he would happily take the fall in that regard, because the choice he has to make is either, you know, live as a Dalek or die as a human. So basically, they're dead anyway. The Doctor's left without many options, and Rose comes back because Mickey drives a truck and opens the heart of the TARDIS, and Rose looks into it and absorbs the time vortex. And when Rose comes back, she basically destroys the entire fleet of Daleks because she has the power to, but it's going to kill her because her mind cannot control it. And then she brings back Captain Jack as well, because Captain Jack actually gets killed, which is a real shame, but then she brings him back, but she actually brings him back to life forever, so he's immortal. And there's that final moment, of course, when the Doctor kisses Rose, and he absorbs the vortex for her, and he chooses to sacrifice himself for her, which is a very beautiful moment. I like the moment. The kiss is very sweetly done, and it's nice how the Doctor does save Rose in the end, and he does save the day, and then he places the vortex back into the TARDIS, and he knows after that he's going to have to regenerate, and he's going to have to change, and he wants to see how Rose deals with that. I have to say, I think Murray Gold's soundtrack for this one is particularly great. The music it's just superb, and I like the production design. The fact that we go back to Satellite 5 as well is interesting, because it almost doesn't look like the same place. Like the food court is gone, and everything that we saw in the long game, it's all completely different. I mean, this is 100 years on, so now every floor is being used as a game station. It's also interesting to see this girl who's strapped up as the controller. She's been wired up to the game station for all of her life. The Daleks have imprisoned her there since she was 5, and she tries to help the Doctor and give him the information, but then they transmit her to the ship and they exterminate her, which is rather sad. That was rather tragic. The person that plays her is very good. I think Christopher Eccleston gives a really great final performance as the Ninth Doctor, and especially during the regeneration scene. The regeneration is rather well done, I would say. It's rather bittersweet, and you know, it's sad to see the Ninth Doctor go. It really is, after one series. And I love his final words to Rose when he says, "Before I go, I just want to let you know that you are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic." And you know what? So was I. Christopher Eccleston leaves with a smile on his face, which I really do like. And then the effect itself, which is like this burst of gold energy that emits from his arms and his face. And when they go to the close-up of his face, I really like the transition. I think the crossfade works really well when you see his face turn into David Tennant. I think it looks really, really good. And obviously, when David Tennant makes his first appearance as the 10th Doctor, it's interesting. I like how he just has a line or two when he's like, "Ooh, new teeth, that's weird. Where was I? Oh, that's right, Barcelona. One little line, and he does a cheeky smile, which I quite like, and we end on his face, of course. Seeing Christopher Eccleston change was rather sad, actually, and because he knows he's gonna change, because he looks at his hand and sees the energy, and when he explains it to Rose, it's quite an emotional moment for Rose, but it's a very dramatic scene to watch, and it's sad to see Chris go. I miss Chris. What can I say? Also, the story moves at a very good pace. I think it's perfectly paced at its runtime, considering it's 2 parts long. I think bringing the Daleks back in the end was a good idea, and the fact that the bad wolf twist ended up being Rose was interesting. How she kept seeing those words, and she realised that it was a connection between her and the Doctor, and it enabled her to go back to him, and then she scattered the words across time and space when she had the time vortex absorbed in her. So I thought that was a very clever piece of writing from Russell T Davies. He's a really clever man. It's actually kind of sad that Captain Jack gets left behind on Satellite 5 at the very end. He doesn't make it to the TARDIS when the Doctor is about to regenerate, which is interesting, although we will see Captain Jack again, and we find out how he does escape from Satellite 5, but at this point it's like, oh, that's a shame. Captain Jack is just left there. But overall, this is a fantastic story. I don't mean to keep using that word, but it really is. It's a fantastic end to this series. It is a superb ending to Christopher Eccleston's tenure, albeit short and sweet, as the 9th Doctor, and I am definitely going to give Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways a 10 out of 10. And if they had to bring back the Emperor Dalek, this was definitely the right story to do so. So, we come to another mini ranking, yes. As the series is now ended, it's time to rank the episodes. So, this is just my personal list. Again, you know, my own decision. Please don't kill me. You know, if you disagree, that's fine. Just be polite about it. Then, here we go. Number 10 at the very bottom, I'm sorry, for me is The End of the World. Number 9, The Long Game. Number 8, Aliens of London, World War 3. 7, Boomtown. 6, Rose. 5, The Unquiet Dead. 4, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. 3, Father's Day. 2, Dalek. And 1, not a surprise, Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways. And so, folks, that ends the Christopher Eccleston era. Yeah, it's only one series, but it's a bloody fantastic series. And I'm going to raise a toast to the 9th Doctor. He was my first Doctor, and I will always be grateful for that. He's not my favourite actor to play this role. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of time in this role, and Christopher Eccleston chose to leave the show because he had creative differences with Russell T Davies and the higher-ups at the BBC. He had a bit of a falling out with them, so he decided to go after one series, and it's a shame about that, but he is back, folks. Christopher Eccleston is back, baby, and he's going to do the Big Finish audios, which is great, but in terms of on-screen appearances, this is it, Series 1. So, Christopher Eccleston, thank you very much. You know, you'll always be my first Doctor, and I appreciate that he was the Doctor that got me into the show, but ultimately, you know, there are others that are better than him. He doesn't get much time in the role, but most of his stories are fantastic. And, you know, being the first actor to have a thick northern accent to play this role, I think he proved everybody he could do it. He had the dramatic weight to play this role, and he did come across as charming and funny when he needed to be. And I think it was a challenge for him, but a challenge that he gratefully accepted. So, I'll do another final toast to Christopher Eccleston, the 9th Doctor. Excellent. Right. That is it, folks. That's the end of the Eccleston era. So, yeah, I will leave off with a tribute to the Ninth Doctor, and yeah, that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back to review the Children in Need special, Born Again. That's my next review, before I then review the David Tennant era. Woohoo! With the Christmas Invasion. And that will be interesting because David Tennant is my favourite Doctor, so I cannot wait to get started with that. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See you soon. Bye for now.